We are reading chapter 12 of the Crossroads. For the first time, Don wasn't waiting for him on the horse when Jamie got off the school bus. He searched the rocky ridge and the various hills in the direction of the homestead for any movement before scuffling his shoes down the dirt road. Tomas had said they probably wouldn't be home, but the reality of not having a ride back and having to walk home alone didn't occur to Jamie. Vida greeted him with 1,000 kisses before squatting in the bushes near the trailer. They shared a turkey and cheese sandwich with ketchup before setting off, Jamie with his sketchbook under his arm to check on the livestock. The two floppy-eared dairy goats greeted him with loud cries, and he told them Donna Chichi would be out to milk them soon. For once, Quinto must have done his job before he left for the day because the horses in the paddock and the cows and calves in the corral all had hay and water. The rest of the cattle out in these vast parts of the ranch were used to taking care of themselves. From the corral, a trail led to the foothills, and Jamie wondered if he could find the mama coyote again, and another part of him hoped he wouldn't. With Vida along, he didn't want to find out what would happen if the two canines got too close to each other. He came to a dry area and carved out by groundwater and skid down to the sandy banks. A few meters away, a jackrabbit stared at him with his peripheral vision. Next to Jamie, Vida froze. The brown and white hairs on the back rose as they stared each other down. Sketchbook in hand, Jamie drew the outline of the jackrabbit's large tan ears, then looked more like feathers, with their prominent veins and black edges. Unclear who twitched first, the jackrabbit and Vida took off up the sides of the hill. The hare ran for a few strides and then leaped into the air like a horse jumping over a fence. No way the dog could ever catch it. Not that he would ever tell Vida that. He sat on the rock and continued to sketch as he remembered the bulging eyes, the long, lean body, the black and gray tail tucked under the bottom that didn't quite touch the ground because of the folded up legs were too long. He sharpened his pencil extra sharp and used the slightest touch to add fur and texture. There, perfect. Vida returned with her tongue dragging almost to the sandy dirt and a look of pure contentment on the flat-out run, even though the jackrabbit had gotten away. The sun in the west said that it would be dark in about an hour, and his stomach in the present said Tomas would be home by now making something he'd call dinner. Jamie kept his eyes on the trail as he headed back. Snakes hibernated, right? And scorpions. Were they awake for the spring yet? But mountain lions didn't hibernate, did they? and were they nocturnal? He hugged his book to his chest, made sure Vida stayed at his heels, and quickened his pace home. One thing he noticed about New Mexico, as soon as the sun started to go down, it got cold and fast. Tomas's truck was still missing, and when he got back to the trailer. But headlights were coming down the hill, and Jamie waited for his brother with Vida at his side. The headlights seemed closer together and lower to the ground than Jamie remembered. The dog ran to greet the dusted-up white car that definitely didn't belong to Tomas. The driver's door opened to reveal Angela. Angela? Driving? A mixture of nervousness and jealousy bubbled up inside. Back home, only Papa and Tio Daniel knew how to drive. But then again, neither owned a car for anyone to drive. And here was Angela, driving like she owned the road. Now that he thought about it, she had swerved continuously down the ranch track, like a drunk driver. What kind of friends would let her potentially kill herself by letting her drive? She reached for something in the seat behind her, but someone held her arm as if begging her not to leave. She laughed as the person holding her kissed her hand. The car's interior light illuminated a mop of bleached blonde hair. Tristan. If Abuela was here, Angela would never have acted like that, and Tristan would never have dared. Angela, vamos, Jamie said. His cousin turned to him, and even though it had gotten too dark to see her face in the shadows, he was sure she rolled her eyes. Her arm was magically released, and she waved at the people in the car. The car beeped 2 times before taking off at dust-inducing speeds back to the highway. What is it? She finally turned to him. Tomas isn't back yet, Jamie said. Angela shrugged as if Tomas always left them home alone. Which he did, Jamie supposed. But he was always somewhere within Mr. George's 50,000 acres. I'm sure he'll be here soon, Angela said. Should we check in with Donna Chichi? Maybe she's heard something. They're grown men looking at a cow. A bull, Jamie corrected. Whatever. You know how long grown-ups talk? They're probably arguing whether black cattle produce better meat than white. Ours are reddish-brown, with white faces. Herefords, Jamie surprised himself. He had no idea he knew their cattle's breed, and apparently he did. Wait till Tomas and Don heard him ask about the new Hereford bull calf. Which is making me even more hungry. What's for dinner? There's sandwiches and beans. Great. Let's put beans and cheese on the bread, and then we'll microwave them to melt. The worry in Jamie's stomach changed to hunger. That sounded a lot better than just beans from the can. The microwave concoctions made the bread mushy, and of course the canned beans tasted bland compared to Abuela's savory ones. But the overall result wasn't bad. Jamie had 3 slices, and this time didn't share with Vida. Dogs and beans don't seem like a good idea. They left the rest of the beans in the can, placed them in the waist-high fridge, and raised the counter to reveal the sink underneath. Everything in the trailer either served multiple functions or was nestled like Russian dolls. Maguel would have enjoyed the clever engineering. Thinking of Maguel led Jamie to remember their journey and their friends they had made, and how Angela seemed to have forgotten all about them based on how she would let that Tristan boy kiss her hand like that. Do you remember the first time we met Xavi and Jokin and Rafa? Jamie asked while drying a plastic plate. Angela pulled the drain plug and lowered the counter over the sink. She wiped the top of the counter but didn't answer. Jamie tried again. We were washing dishes then too, and you were acting all weird round Xavi every time he came with buckets of water. The trailer was tiny. There was no way Angela couldn't hear him. He tried one last time. Remember how you told Xavi you were 16? Did you ever tell him you were really only 15? Angela went to her bed, which was currently a table, and pulled out the thick geometry textbook from her bag. Xavi's dead. It doesn't matter what I told him. She opened her book with such a bang that Jamie stopped bringing up old friends. He opened his backpack and pulled out the homework folder. The spelling words he had to memorize and define blurred in front of his eyes. Only a few weeks ago, guys with machetes and baseball bats had attacked Angela, Xavi, and him on the train. There had been nothing to do but jump off and run fast. A blinding headlight had caused him, Angela, and Xavi to split up. A track had followed Jamie, but somehow he'd managed to squeeze himself halfway into an animal's den and hide. By pure luck, he had found Angela in the morning with nothing more than a sprained ankle. Vida had returned on her own without Xavi. Jamie doodled on the side of his spelling sheet. He missed Xavi, and little Jokin, and sometimes even Big Mouth Rafa. And it stank big time that he didn't know for sure what had happened to any of them. Inside his bag, he found the recorder Mrs. McAllister said he could borrow until the end of the school year. She also lent him a music book. He'd barely gone through one song when Angela slammed her book shut. "You have got to stop. I can't handle that noise." "It isn't noise," but he sighed and forced himself to finish the rest of his homework before getting the beginner reader book out of his bag. It took 20 minutes to read, and he was pretty sure he understood about half of it. Enough to get that it was about a frog and a toad, and they were friends who were on an adventure, sometimes flying a kite and sometimes cleaning a house. Of course, the drawings helped a lot. He looked outside. It was darker than any night he'd have ever seen on the ranch, with only one faint light coming from the annex of the big house. Tomas should really be back by now. He thought again about asking Donna Chichi, but she knew no, if she knew anything about them. But they were light. But then her light went out, and Jamie figured she must have gone to bed. "Think Tomas is okay?" Jamie asked. Angela didn't even look up. She was reading from her play script, and by now, like she was attempting to memorize the whole thing for her 2-minute role, or 2-line role. "Of course, why wouldn't they be?" "It's almost 9 o'clock." He pointed to the clock on the microwave. Angela turned a page, keeping her eyes on the script, then probably stopped for some food. Jamie returned to the window. "No lights anywhere. What if the truck broke down?" "Then Tomas is probably fixing it. He's resourceful." Very true. Tomas and Don an animal whisperer, while the older man called Tomas a machine whisperer. Jamie brushed his teeth, changed into his sweatpants and undershirt, and he slept in, and beckoned Vida to join him in the bed he normally shared with his big brother. The dog happily curled up in his arms as he stayed awake at the trailer door that didn't open. The day was lightening when Vita's bark and a slamming truck door jerked Jamie awake. Heavy boots stomped up the metal steps and the door opened. "What happened?" Jamie asked, sitting up in the bed. From his angle, he saw Angela do the same. Black circles surrounded Tomas's eyes, and his face was pale. He could have passed for a gringo. The hair on the back of Vita's neck rose and stayed at Jamie's side. Unsure in the near dark whether she was a strange man at the door. "Don is in a detention center. He's going to be deported." And Tomas, with his big cowboy muscles, rested his tired head against a thin trailer wall and began to cry. That's the end of chapter 12.